Hi, my name is Al Taylor, Transportation Supervisor for the Ann Arbor Area Transit Authority. Today, with my assistant Fred, we will be going over how to perform a correct state of Michigan pre-trip for obtaining your Class B CDL license in order to operate transit buses in a safe manner. This video will guide you step by step in the proper order to pass your licensing test. Please study this video as often as necessary until you become comfortable with this procedure. So now, Fred, take it away.
All right, first we'll start out with checking our safety belt. Pull it out, make sure there's no rips or frays in it. It's securely attached to the vehicle. I'm going to go ahead and connect it now. They're secure to me. Next, what we're going to do is that I will perform a safe start. How you do a safe start, you cover the brake with your foot, put the vehicle in night run, 2 clicks over. I'm waiting for it to say the wait to start to go off. Now it has. So what I'll do is I'll make sure it's in neutral and that the parking brake is engaged. Now I'm going to go ahead and hit the engine start button. The vehicle has started. And I'm waiting for the air pressure to build up between 110 and 120 psi, which it already has. It has a governor cutoff that once it reaches that air gauge, it will stop there. Okay, now we're going to do the air brake test. First, what we'll do is we're going to make sure the parking brake is engaged. And we're going to go ahead and give it some gas, about 1/3 of the throttle. Make sure that it is still holding. You want to make sure the vehicle is in drive with the parking brake engaged. You'll then want to press the gas. There, that's the first one. That is also known as the tug test. Now we will do the service brake test. Now with the next we're going to perform the service brake test. Now in this we're just going to verbalize what we're doing because the bus actually has to be in motion. So what you're going to do is make sure that your foot's covering the brake. You're going to press down the service brake or the emergency parking brake. Make sure it is disengaged. Put the vehicle in drive. Make sure you have both hands on the wheel. Let it pull forward about 5 miles an hour. Then you let go as you're pressing the brake. If it does not pull to the left or right, you've done this correctly. Next, we're going to do an air pressure disposition rate. So, how to do that is, with your parking brake still on, place the bus in neutral, turn the master switch off. Once you've turned the master switch off, turn it back to night run. With it still turned off, release the parking brake and apply the service brake firmly. The air pressure will initially drop. After this initial drop, continue depressing the brake pedal for 1 minute. You should not lose any more than 3 pounds of pressure within that minute. If you've done that, you've done it correctly. Next, we will do the low air pressure warning. I will do the low air pressure warning device test. Now we'll begin pumping the service brake and watch the air pressure go lower. Tell the tester between 80 and 60 psi, a warning light should activate. Watch for this warning line and point to it when it comes on, which it will be up here. Make sure that you point with while you're doing your test. Concluding your brake test, all that leaves is the pop-up test, which is where your emergency brake should pop up between 40 and 20 psi, and that concludes your brake test. Next, while we're in the driver's seat, we're going to talk about our mirrors, our door, and windows. So from here, what I'll do is I'll say that my window is in good shape. There's no illegal stickers. There's no cracks. Everything is in good working order. Same with my auxiliary windows. They're in good working condition. And while I'm doing this, I'm pointing to each one. None have any cracks, no illegal stickers, and all in good working condition. Same with the front windshield. Again, no illegal stickers, no cracks, good working condition. Next, what I'll do is I'll actually point and touch my mirror. It's secured to the bus. There's no cracks, no illegal stickers, and adjusted to me. Again, same with that mirror. There's no cracks, it's adjusted to me, no illegal stickers, and properly working condition. I have a mirror here as well, which is not cracked or broken. It's adjusted to me with another one here. What you'll do is you'll also point to the back where you have your back door mirror as well. That is not cracked or broken. I have a clear view to that. All right, with that, next you'll say my wipers are in good working condition. You're actually going to test them. You will turn your auxiliary wipers on, which you will see me here do. There's low, you have medium, and you have high. You want to point all that out. You'll actually want to press the button down and get the windshield wiper fluid to come out. It shows that is working correctly. Now you'll shut that off. You'll do the same with your main wipers. Turn it on, you have low, medium, and high. All working. Again, press it down. Wait for your windshield wiper to come out. Now shut it off. Now that you have completed that. So next, what we will do while we're sitting in the driver's seat is also point out the climate control. Here's your climate control. Turn that on. It's working. Next, you'll do the defrost. Show them that it works low, medium, and high. Now, once you've done that, that completes your climate control. Next, I'll show you my steering wheel. It's a 20-inch wheel with less than 2 inches of play. Make sure that you tell her that. Your horn works correctly. And what you'll do now, alright, next what we're going to do is our warning indicator lights. What you'll do, I have to take my belt off to be able to reach this. You may have to do the same. What you'll do is you'll press this button up here. That'll light up all your lights. Now while they're lit up, you can actually show her where your low pressure voltage is. You'll want to point that out. You'll want to point out your coolant tip, your high voltage, low voltage, coolant, and low pressure. Use your button and okay. So once you've done that, that completes your indicator lights. You'll also want to show her your hazard lights, which is here. Now you turn that on, you can shut that off. You will also point out that your high beams light has come on when you press that. Show her that your left turn signal is working. Point at it, again with your right. You'll also hear a audible sound as you're hitting the left turn signal. Next, what we will do is we will point out the gauges. This bus doesn't have a high temperature, low pressure, or low voltage gauges, but the warning lights for those items will come on if they're not right. Use the test button to point out those indicators, which we already have. Again, I will do it again though. We have a high temperature, which would be right here. We have the low voltage and low oil pressure. All right, that concludes that. Next, what we will do is the emergency equipment. All right, now concluding our emergency test, part of the test, what we will do is we'll go over, we have 3 triangles located right here. You'll ask her if you would like her to show them how they work. She'll probably say no, but here they are. You can actually open it, show her that they are in there, and that they are equipped. Next, what you'll do, you'll walk over to your fire extinguisher. Show her that it's secured to the vehicle and that it is fully charged and been updated, that it is ready to use. After that, you'll move to your first aid kit. You'll open it, show her that it is fully stocked, and then that completes that part of that. Next, you'll move on to your exits. You have 8 emergency exits. You'll need to point them out and show them how they work. First, we have our door here, which is an emergency exit. You'll have to break the glass, turn the knob, and push the doors open. Next, we have 5 windows, which are emergency exits as well. You'll want to point out that each one is clearly marked emergency exit with the instructions on how to operate. You'll pull this handle down and push the window out, pointing to each window, letting her know which ones are the emergency exits. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, pointing to each emergency exit sign. So there. Next, we will go to this door, which is an emergency exit as well. You will break the glass, turn the knob, and push the doors. You'll want to demonstrate this to her. That's what you'll do. Next, you'll show her the last emergency exit, which is located right here. Again, you will tell her to turn the knob and push the emergency hatch open. That is your 8 emergency exits. After that, you'll want to demonstrate that your seats and everything is secure to the bus. So what I do is I went through, pulled on each one. As I'm doing so, I'm letting her know that they are secure. I'm also pointing out the fact that the edges are clearly marked in yellow, and actually the steps have lights attached to them. As I go up, I'm pulling again, making sure that everything is secure. I check my mirror, it is secure. My seats are secure as well. And that concludes your emergency equipment. Okay, as you exit the bus, there's some important things to remember. Make sure that you let her know there's no obstructions as you're exiting the bus. The other important thing that you want to mention is that there's 3 points of contact when you exit the bus. This is important. 2 hands on these rails. There's 2 points of contact. There would be your third. As you're stepping out of the vehicle, you have 3 points of contact always. Now you're exiting the bus. All right, now moving to the outside portion of our CDL test, what we'll be looking for is that we have 5 clearance lights, amber in color. Now you'll want to make sure you point these things out. You'll say amber in color, not cracked or broken, and securely attached to the vehicle. What I like to do is start from the top of the vehicle and work your way down. That way you don't miss anything. So again, I have 5 clearance lights, amber in color, not cracked or broken, and securely attached to the vehicle. Next, I'll move down to the windshield. Again, there's no cracks, no illegal stickers, not cracked or broken. Next, what you'll move to is the washer or the windshield wipers, and you'll want to point out that they make full contact with the bus window. They are in good working condition, and that they're securely attached to the bus. So what I'm actually doing is grabbing and showing that. Again, I'll move to this one and do the same thing. Making full contact with the window, securely attached to the vehicle. Good working order. Next, what I'll do is I'll point out that I have my headlights, my high beams, and my turn signals. turn signal is amber in color, not cracked or broken. My headlight is not cracked or broken, securely attached to the vehicle. Again, with my high beams, the same thing. I point out it's not cracked or broken, clear in color. I move over to this one, I do the same thing. I will point out that it's clear in color, not cracked or broken. My turn signal is amber in color, not cracked or broken. Other things to point out is that if she asks, that this is your windshield wiper reservoir. This is where you would fill that up. You'll also want to point out that the bus is level and not uneven. With that being said, that covers the front of the bus. Alright, now you'll want to make sure that you start out on the left side of the vehicle. You'll make sure that you point out that you have your reflector light, which is amber in color, not cracked or broken. Again, move up to your auxiliary window. It's not cracked or broken, firmly attached to the bus. There's no illegal stickers. Moving on to your windshield wiper. It is firmly attached to the vehicle. It is making good contact with the window. Next, you'll move along to your side mirror. It's not cracked or broken, firmly attached to the vehicle and adjusted to me. Next, you'll move to your driver's side window. Again, no illegal stickers, not cracked or broken, in good working condition. You'll also want to mention out, this is where your battery is housed at. Your power to shut it off is located right here. Next, what we'll move to is the mechanic part of the test. We'll start out with the steering shaft, which is connected to the gearbox, which is not, the gearbox is gear driven and has hoses which are not leaking, which is connected to the pitman arm, connected to the drag link and the knuckle. It's held securely in place by nuts and bolts and a cotter pin. Then what we'll do is move along to our ATS is what we call it. The ATS part of the test is what we call ATS, which stands for airbags, torque bar, and shocks. So you'll want to mention that your airbags are secured on top and bottom and fully inflated, securely attached to the vehicle. Next, you'll want to mention the torque bar. It is securely attached to the vehicle as well. Moving on to your shocks. They are securely attached to the vehicle and in good working condition. Moving along to the brake portion of the test, you have your ABS line and your air brake line, which I just connected them, said that they are securely mounted to the vehicle in good working condition. Next, you have your brake chamber, properly attached to the vehicle with nuts and bolts. Next, you're going to move to your slack adjuster and your push rod, which has no more than 1 inch play, no more than 1 inch of slack. And after that, you'll want to mention that it's firmly attached to the vehicle. Drums and linings is the last thing you'll mention, which are not worn dangerously thin. Make sure that you mention that they're not worn dangerously thin. That concludes the brake part of the test. All right, moving along to our tire portion of the test. What I like to do is I like to start from the top or outside of the wheel and work my way in. Making sure to mention that you have at least 4/32 tread depth, no gouges or rips in your tire, and is in good working order. Next, you'll want to move to your rim. Making sure to mention there's no illegal welds, no cracks or dents or breaks in your rim. Moving down, you'll want to mention that your lug nuts are all in place and firmly attached to the bus. Next, you'll move to the hub pilot, which is not leaking or damaged, is in good working order. This is where I like to mention the fact that you have a mud flap, which is firmly attached to the vehicle, not broken. Make sure you're mentioning also the valve stem, which should have a cover on it, a cap, and in good working condition and not leaking. That concludes the wheel part of your CDL test. All right, moving to the rear of the bus, you'll want to point out that the frame runs the length of the bus front to back. There's no, it's not crooked or broken. You also want to, as you move down from the front of the bus, point out your windows, no cracks or illegal stickers, pointing out any lights that you may see in between the front wheel and the rear wheel, pointing out that you have a reflector, clear or amber in color, clear, not broken or damaged. Again, you also have a turn signal, amber in color, not cracked or broken, firmly attached to the vehicle. Now what we'll do is move into the mechanic part of it again and talk about the ABS or the ATS, airbags, torque bars, and shocks. Remember that. So, going into the airbags, you want to again make sure that they are properly inflated and not leaking, firmly attached to the vehicle. You'll want to mention that you have 2 torque bars because you have 2 wheels in the back. You have 2 torque bars firmly attached to the vehicle. Good working order. Then you'll want to mention the fact that you have 2 shocks, not leaking when properly secured to the vehicle. Now that will take us into the brake part of the back wheel. You have your ABS and your air brake line, which again I've connected and said that they are not leaking, in good working condition. And then you can go on to your brake chamber, which is firmly attached to the vehicle with nuts and bolts in good working condition. You'll want to mention that you have your slack adjuster and push rods with no more than 1 inch of play. Good working condition, firmly attached to the vehicle. Also mention that you have drums and linings, which are not worn dangerously thin and in good working condition. Now we'll move to the tire. Again, I like to start from the top and work my way inward with no more than 4 30-second tread depth. No gouges or holes in my wheel. Moving on to the rim, there's no illegal welds and no damage to the rim. Again, my lug nuts are firmly attached, all are present and firmly attached to the vehicle. My hub pilot is not leaking, in good working condition. Again, this is where I will check the valve stem, making sure that there is a cap on it and that it is not leaking. You'll also want to point out in the back that there will be a spacer for your dual wheels. And that concludes the back tire. Alright, moving along with the rear of the bus, you'll want to mention that here's your exhaust. It's held in place by 2 clamps and firmly attached and secured to the vehicle. You want to point out there's your exhaust stack right there, your exhaust pipe, that there's not excessive soot and in good working condition. You can mention, if you'd like, the fact that you have your radiator here. You also want to point out that any amber or any reflectors and what color they are. So here I have a red reflector, not cracked or broken, in good working condition. Again, as is up there, I have a clearance light, red in color, not damaged, not cracked or broken. Next, we will be moving to the back of the bus. Alright, moving along to the back of the bus here. Again, like as in the front, we're going to start at the top and work our way down. At this point, you may want to mention again that your exhaust pipe is not excessively, doesn't have high excess of soot in it, pointing out that it's in good working condition. Next, I'm going to move down to my clearance lights. I will mention that they're red in color. There's 5 of them. They're not cracked or broken and firmly attached to the vehicle. Next, you can mention that you have red lights here, which are brake lights, and red in color, not cracked or broken. Again, you'll want to point out your amber in color, which is your turn signal, not cracked or broken, firmly attached to the vehicle. You have your brake lights, which are red in color, firmly attached to the vehicle, not cracked or broken. And you have your reverse lights, which are clear in color, not cracked or broken. You'll want to point to these you'll want to point to your amber. You'll want to come over here, point to this one. Again, not cracked or broken, amber in color, good working condition. You have two red lights, which are not cracked or broken, and you have your clear. Making sure to point to each one. Again, you'll work your way down. You'll have reflectors, red in color, not cracked or broken. Well, all meanwhile, I'm pointing at them. Again, red in color, not cracked or broken. You want to make sure that the bus is sitting level, and a light that nobody seems to remember will be this one. Make sure that you remember you have a clear license plate light right here. You'll want to put your hand under it and show her that it's working. All right, before we move to the engine compartment, we're going to show you that the tester will want to make sure that the lights are working. So at this point, she'll ask you to get into the vehicle and demonstrate that you have a right turn signal, a left turn signal, and reverse. So at this moment, I'm going to go do that and to demonstrate that they are working correctly.
Left, right, brake,
All right, moving along to our engine compartment. What we'll do, the bus is off currently. You'll want to lift up the door. Now normally you'll have a key to unlock this and swing this open. For time purposes, we're just going to go through it right now. First thing you're going to want to do is say that there's no wires or hoses hanging loose. Then you're going to want to move over to your coolant, which you have a sight glass. The coolant is green in color, and then your sight glass, you'll be able to see that actually. That way you can make sure that the coolant is at the correct level. Now, you'll need to mention that if you have to add coolant, there is a pressure release button which you'll press. Once you do that, you'll be able to open up the reservoir and add your coolant. Next, you'll want to mention that the power steering fluid is red in color, and that you'll check it. If you'll ask if you'd like you to demonstrate checking it. How you would check it is you would take the dipstick out, you pull it, wipe it, put it back in, pull it back out, look at it, make sure it's at the correct level, and replace. Again, same with the oil. You'll check the dipstick, pull it out, check it, or wipe it, put it back in, pull it out, check, make sure it's at the correct level. If you have to add oil, this is where you would do so. Point to it. During your time, you'll know exactly where. Also, behind here will be your water pump. You'll want to check that. You'll point to your water pump, which is in this area here. Point to it. You'll also want to check the hoses. Actually grab the hoses, pull on them, and say there's no more than 3/4 inch of play. Next, you'll mention that you have an air compressor, which is square and sits in the back. You won't be able to see it, but at least mention it. That concludes our engine compartment. All right, moving along to the right side of the bus. You'll want to remember that you'll point out any reflectors, what color they are, and that they're not cracked or broken. But usually at this time, they won't make you go through everything again. They will be asking you what the differences are. But before we get to that point, we will be opening up this compartment. Again, for sake of time's sake, we're just going to mention this is where your power steering reservoir is. And you'll mention that it's red in color. And that concludes that part of it. Next, what we'll be talking about is the differences in the sides of the vehicle, which they are. We have a wheel hub on this side, counts the mileage on the vehicle. Also that we have a gas tank or gas neck filler there. You'll want to mention that the lid is on tight, secured to the bus without leaking. If it's attached, the tank is attached with 3 clamps and firmly attached to the vehicle. Also, we have the 2 doors. Also, we have our kneeler light and our ramp light. And that will do that for this side of the bus.
There you have it. This concludes our pre-trip portion for our Class B CDL training. Remember to view this video as often as necessary to make certain that you have it down.